Hey everyone, it's JANG here, welcoming you back to the development of my Lego city. If you've been wondering what I've been up to for the past week or so, well, apparently you haven't been watching my Instagram feed, or my Twitter feed even. But that's okay. In this video update, I will bring you up to speed fairly quickly on everything that's new or changed. First of all, continuing on with the work that I showed you last, I have finished converting my cargo rail yard, my freight rail yard, into just a plain yard. So everything is ballasted in and it's completely open. And I've also added in these lights. So this really helps to illuminate this area, even when I have the lights, the room lights, the overhead lighting, just turned down and not turned off. These individual stocks are fully custom made with Lego pieces and a couple different types of 30 gauge wire, and the LEDs themselves are just individual surface mount LED units that were cut from a long strip. Again, just a cheap LED lighting strip that I got off Amazon, which is typically used for lighting like the undersides of counters and things. And I picked ones that had a nice, somewhat cool color, but not too cold. And you see that, it's starting to look like I'm actually trying to illuminate the city. I've got everything turned on here, and I can finally see where this is going. I can finally see that at one point, at some time in the future, I'll be able to walk into this room, flip a single switch, and light up the whole city without turning on the overhead lights, without actually illuminating the room itself. All the light will be able to come just from the city, so you'll just have complete darkness everywhere else. And that's kind of a cool idea. I didn't know if I was ever going to quite get there. This is kind of the lighting that I've been thinking about as the ultimate goal, but it looks like I'll be able to go farther than that. Now, the other big thing that's been illuminated is the train maintenance shed or engine depot building, whatever it is. So that's been lit up with a combination of some different, actually colder lit LED strips. So you can see two of them going along the top there, and brick stuff lights. So I'm using both of them together, some cheap stuff and some expensive stuff. The brick stuff lights allow me to get that little lighting effect that you see there in the center that I also showed early on with the welding that's going on. That's just a kit that Brickstuff at brickstuff.com sells, and I just customized the placement a little bit there. And then also the small lights like you see off to the left and also around the outside of the building are using the Brickstuff lights. And I did intentionally put one wrong color or different color of bulb in one of the spots, and also had one bulb that's left off. But all those work together in harmony in a way that, I don't know, it just makes sense to me. Keeping the budget somewhat reasonable, using cheap things wherever possible, but using the appropriate type of light, I think is also very important for each area. Now, here's a big question. Where is the power coming from? That's something that's even more major. It's more serious. It's a bigger part of the update for this past week's worth of work. Now, stuff is not pretty yet, but this is the underside of the table beneath the rail yard. A bunch of 2-conductor 22 gauge wires, some small connectors all coming into some screw terminal blocks, which are ultimately fed by 16 gauge wire, which ultimately branches off a 10 gauge wire main, of which there will be 4 going through the city. Each pair of these 5-volt mains, 10 gauge ones, come down into these, again, cheap 40 amp power supplies. There's an easier look at one that's yet to be installed. So this is, again, just off Amazon, 40 amp, 5 volts, and totally does the trick. So with a pair of these installed, I will be able to power the entire city. So far, I just have the train yard, the locomotive shed, and the mall lit up by that one power supply that I do have installed so far. So I only have 1/4 of the total runs of the 10 gauge underneath. I don't have the lights for the underside, these angel lights, fairy lights hooked up just yet. And I also don't have these lights that were initially tested out from the Brick Stuff system in my apartment building hooked up yet. So those are still being just powered by batteries. But once I get that second power supply installed, get the 3 more rails of big heavy 10 gauge wire going, like I said, I'll have the entire city able to be lit up from a single switch that I'll be able to throw to just turn on those 2 power supplies. So a lot of infrastructure work has been done, and I'm happy with the progress up to this point, and especially happy with what this is going to allow me to do in the near, intermediate, and distant future. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for following along.